Hello, my friends. This is Daniel Alley, and today I want to talk with you about how you can act like a leader. Now, leadership is a concept that a lot of people end up confusing. They try to make up these complicated definitions, but really, leadership boils down to just four words: people see, people do. In other words, if you see someone doing the thing that you like to do, you say to yourself, I think I can do that too. I think I can start a company. I think I can get that job. I think I can own that house. That is what leadership is. Leadership is following the kind of person who really knows how to get things done, right? And this acronym that I'm going to share with you, ACT, will really define how you can become a better leader. Now, ACT stands for three words: audacious, contagious, and tenacious. Let me explain. The first word is audacious. Audacious means that you're being bold, that you're taking initiative, that you're getting outside of your comfort zone. You're doing what you're afraid to do, going where you're afraid to go. Being audacious means that you're taking a risk. You see, risk is the safest way you can go. And a lot of people are afraid to take risks because they don't know where it's going to head. Now, in order to be audacious, you have to have faith. You have to know that what you're going to do is going to work out. A lot of people try to become perfectionists, but it's kind of like going through a city, right? You're not going to get all green lights. You're going to get red lights, yellow lights, and you'll get a couple green lights. But you have to be willing to go through the city, face the trials and tribulations, and do whatever it takes to get to the other side. You can't line up everything perfectly. You just have to go out there and see how it goes and start to maneuver and adapt and see how the marketplace is shaping you into who you want to be. Be audacious and take a risk. Get out there and start to serve people so that they can benefit from what you do. Once you're audacious, you automatically become contagious. You start to draw people in because of who you are and what you're about. You have the spirit of magnetism. Now, have you ever been in a room and you see someone walk in and everyone's head just turns to that person? Well, it's because that person has a special effervescence. They have that special enthusiasm. They know that everything they touch turns to gold. And once you're contagious, people are attracted to you because they just know that you have something that's very special and worthwhile. You see, my friends, if you want to become contagious, you first have to build your competence so that you can build your confidence. You see, competence leads to confidence, and that's what makes a contagious person the kind of leader they want to be. Now, when you're contagious, you start to build a following and you start to gain momentum, and people start trusting you. They start asking you how you did it and what they can do to become even better. They ask for your leadership. And so what this forces you to do is to become tenacious. It requires you to become a stronger person. It makes you study. It makes you stay up at night. It makes you do whatever it takes to give people the solutions that they've been asking for. When you're tenacious, you do whatever it takes to become the best at what you do, and you start to master your craft. You start to go the extra mile, and you start to believe in yourself as the depth of your soul starts to gravitate you towards the success that you want. Let me give you an example of how I've been able to act like a leader. Several years ago, I had a college course and I had to do a presentation on a Fortune 500 company. So the company of my choice was IKEA, the furniture store. When I started to do my paper, I started to realize that this company was pretty cool. So I was excited for my speech. The day of the presentation, I felt really good about it. I was looking good, feeling good, smelling good, and plus, after all, I had written a 20-page paper on this company. When I showed up into the presentation room, I was ready to really give a good performance. But as I stood up in front of my classmates, my mind sat back down. My knees were knocking, and I was sweating profusely as 16 eyes penetrated my soul. I was emotionally bankrupt. I didn't know what to say, what to do, or where to go. Like the Kit Kat commercial, I needed a break. I needed to get out of there because my performance was atrocious. Now, I knew I could become better, But that night, I was very disgruntled with how I performed. I cried, actually, and I determined to myself that this was never going to happen again. I picked up a book, I don't remember what it was, but in that book I saw that it said to join Toastmasters. Now, I didn't know what Toastmasters was. I thought it was a company of some sort, but when I did my research, I found that it was a public speaking organization that was dedicated and predicated on helping people become better leaders and communicators. So I decided, I'm going to go and see how this goes. And, I wasn't actually used to waking up that early. It was 7:15 a.m. I used to tell myself, I'm not used to waking up early. I stay up late. I'm not an early bird. And I was content with that answer. But I learned that I had to become audacious. And this was one of my first steps to success. When I showed up at the meeting, I was so scared because I saw 30 people, many of them twice my age. I was 21 at the time, and I knew that this was going to be hard to speak in front of all these people. How am I going to speak in front of 30 people if I couldn't even do it in front of 8 people? Now, I knew that if I wanted to overcome my fear, I had to go up. I had to give the speech. I had to give it a shot. And so I did. It was a 30-second speech, but it went extremely well. And I said to myself when I went home that day that if I would just keep doing this and keep practicing and keep trying to give this speech, that I would eventually become better. Now, this is exactly what I did. That 30-second speech turned into a 2-minute speech, and then a 5-minute speech, and then a 10-minute speech. And I kept going on and on and on. Now, I learned over time that if you want to become better, you have to take action. You have to take a risk. You have to do what you're afraid to do. You have to go to the places you're afraid to go. And I was afraid of Toastmasters at first. Actually, I was afraid of myself and how I would look in front of all these people. But I decided to do whatever it takes to overcome this fear, and I made it happen. Once I was audacious, I automatically became contagious because I became more competent. And remember, competence leads to confidence. I started feeling better about myself, and people started asking me to mentor them. Now, I didn't know anything about mentoring, but I started to share the lessons that I already knew and everything I was talking about, and I felt like I was helping out a lot. A lot of people wanted me to come to their meetings, come speak at my church, my nonprofit, my small business. I said, okay. Finally, a lady came up to me and she said, Daniel, I want to give you $100. Come speak to my youth. I said, okay, I'm going to go do this. I didn't even know I can get paid by doing this. But after all, I was getting so much better. So I decided, why not step my game up and become tenacious? And that's exactly what I did. Speech after speech after speech, I became so much better at what I was already doing. That contagious spirit moved me to become tenacious. I started studying the game of communication. I started reading a lot of books. I started listening to professional speakers. And I started learning about the companies in which I was serving. And I started raising my fee along the way. Eventually, I learned that I had to go the extra mile. And if I wanted to become the best, I had to keep practicing. I had to keep delivering. I had to keep doing whatever it took to get to that next level. Eventually, I hired a coach who helped me to get stupendous results along the way. Eventually, I ran into a lot of opportunities that led me onto other ventures in business, and it allowed me to invest my time and money into places I never thought I can go. You see, my friends, when you're audacious, contagious, and tenacious, you can do things you never thought you can do. I went from not being able to say my name and stumbling, stuttering, and stammering all over the place to being able to speak in front of thousands of people. Now I reach millions of people. My friends, never give up on your dream and learn how to act like the person you want to be by being audacious, contagious, and tenacious. Thank you for watching this video, my friends. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I want to stay in touch. I also have other social media links right here. So be able to follow up with me so I can give you so much more. Again, thank you so much, my friends.